Hey guys, for this video I'm going to be showing you how to do a slip knot, okay? And the slip knot is the first thing that you need to do in any project that is working in rows. Usually that's going to look like something that's square or rectangle. But also sometimes projects will work in rows to create a motif. I've done a Christmas tree motif in rows. I've done all sorts of things in rows. But for the most part, it's going to probably be either a rectangle or a square of some sort. So scarves, blankets, coasters, things like that are mostly done in rows like this. And to start your row, you have to do a chain. And to start your chain, you have to do a slip stitch. Or a slip knot, I'm sorry. Slip knot. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. First, let me show you a kind of what it might look like in a pattern if you need to do a slip knot. This is what it's going to look like. I've gathered up some examples. Okay, so this pattern here that I found on Ravelry for free, and I'll link these even though if you're watching this video, these are probably way too advanced for you, but I'll link them just in case you want to look at them in the resources for our Google Classroom lesson. But this here is the pattern for it. And step 1, it just says to chain 26. Okay, so notice how it doesn't even tell you do a slip knot and then chain 26. It's just going to straight up say chain 26. They're assuming that you know that to start your chain, you need to do a slip knot. Okay, I'll show it to you in a different thing. I also found this really cute pattern for a blanket. And again, before it even starts on row 1, it says chain 118. Guess what? It doesn't say do your slip knot and then chain 118 because it's assuming you know that before you start your chain, you're going to do your slip knot. Okay, I think this might be another one. Yep, here's another one. Last example, and then I'll get to showing you guys. This is for a really cute baby blanket here. I found this on Ravelry as well. And again, it just says chain 206. Doesn't say slip knot there, okay? So just know that if it's telling you to chain, the first thing that you do before you chain is you're actually going to have to do a slip knot. Alrighty, so this video is just for the slip knot. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm using the same yarn that I have been using for all of my crochet lessons, which is this Karen 1-pound yarn. And I'm using my 4mm crochet hook, and I have links to these things in the supply list that is also part of this lesson. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your tail. There's something on my finger. Don't know what that is. You're going to take the tail of the yarn, all right here. And I should probably backtrack a little bit because if you're watching this, you probably never have crocheted before. There's 2 ends to a skein of yarn, of course. That's what this is called. This is called a skein of yarn. A lot of people will actually grab it from the center here. So you're welcome to do that. If I pull long enough, I'll find it. So finding the inside yarn to work from there. I actually do like to work from the outside. So that's just a personal preference for me. I find that to be very uncommon. But I like to work from the outside of it. And yeah, it's the reason people don't really like to do it is because every once in a while you kind of have to go to your skein and give yourself some slack, essentially kind of like unravel it a bit. So people prefer to go from the center. The reason I don't like to go from the center is if the more you work on it, the more like wobbly this whole skein gets. And it's like collapses and gets like tingly and stuff. And I just don't like to deal with that. A third option is to roll this into a ball. And you can do that by hand. Just by being like do. And then kind of pulling around your fingers. And being like do. And kind of like rolling it around. You can make it into a ball if you would like. And they even have like little yarn bowls that you can put the ball in. And then it really easily, pulls out of it while you work. It's really convenient. But I just can't be bothered to turn my stuff into a ball. But you're welcome to do that. They also have winders that you can get that are a crank. and you just attach your yarn to this like metal thing, and it goes around and around and around and gets you kind of like a squished ball, which I don't really remember what those are called, but it's kind of like a squished ball, and it's the same process of using a ball of yarn. Okay, anywhoozits. So I'm just going to be using the outside of my skein. Okay, now let's go ahead and get with the slip stitch. So you take your tail of your yarn. Okay, so what you're working with here, your tail, and you are just going to put it over your 4 fingers. So I'm right-handed, so I put it over my left 4 fingers, and I'm going to secure this down with my thumb on my ring finger here. And then I'm going to wrap around. So I'm going towards the back of my fingers, bringing it up to the front, like so. Bring it back around and holding it in there. So I have this X now. I'm going to take this crochet hook. Okay, sorry. I know I just said that really fast. I was just making sure I was doing it right. Okay, so we're right here. We're going to take the crochet hook. We're going to go underneath the top right quadrant of the X. Okay, so go underneath that. And then we're going to twist our hook so it's facing our finger. So the hook is facing our pointer finger. We're going to grab on to that top left quadrant of our X. Pull it through, and look how I pull it through. I'm twisting my crochet hook so that I have a nice grip on it. And then I just gently tug this off my fingers, and that is our slip knot. And then I'm just going to tighten it like that. So there we go. Now we want this to be on our hook. So right now it's kind of all loosey-goosey. We want this to be tighter on our hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the part of the yarn that's attached to our skein or our ball, whatever you're working with. And you just tug that, and it gives your hook a nice hug there. Okay? So I'm going to do it again. Oh, and if you mess up, it's okay, because watch this. You just take your crochet hook out, and you just pull these 2 strings. It's gone. So it's no problem. Or if you got it like really tangly, you just cut it and try again. No problem. So here we go. We're going to go again. I'll zoom in a little bit this time. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'm taking my tail of my yarn, laying it across my 4 fingers here, taking my thumb and securing it on my ring finger. Okay, so woo, 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 nice and secure. We're taking our yarn from our skein end and going behind these 2 fingers, my pointer and my middle. So I'm going from the front of my fingers to the behind of them, back of them, bringing it up to the front. And we're going to make an X. Okay? Make an X by taking this yarn and crossing it over and going to a top left area of your pointer finger, pulling it behind again up to the front, and boop, secure it right there with your thumb. So this is what it looks like. Now it's time to get our crochet hook. So we're going to go under the top right section of our X. And then we're going to twist our hook because we're going to snag this little guy, this top left part. We're going to want to grab that. So we want to just twist our hook down so that way it can hold on to it as we pull this out. Now at this point I like to twist my hook back up to really make sure that that is on there nice and secure. because the next step is we're going to just tug gently off of our fingers like so. And then this is what it looks like. And then we're going to take these 2 strings down here and we're just going to tug them gently. So our slip knot is now smaller. Boop. And then we're going to take our working yarn, our yarn that is connected to our skein, and we're going to gently pull that up, or pull that down rather, so our slip knot makes a little hug on our hook. Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to go a little faster this time. So pull the 2 strings apart to get your knot to go away. All right? And you can stretch out your hands a little bit. It is a little uncomfortable to go so slowly because like you're holding your hands in those awkward positions for so long. It's like a little awkward feeling. Kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel super comfortable. But the more you do the slip knot, the faster you get at it. And then it's like not uncomfortable at all because you just be like, doot, 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 boop, done. And so then it's like you don't even feel it in your hand at all. Okay, so I'm going to show you kind of like a teensy little variation. It's essentially all the same thing though. Okay, so again, let's put our tail of our yarn in front of our 4 fingers, thumb down, boop, to hold down our tail. Wrap it around to the back, bring it up to the front of our top 2 fingers, make your X, bring it back around, and choop, stick it in your little thumb holder there. And then underneath the top right of the X. Now, some people at this point actually like, and I think I do it when I go really fast unintentionally, but as you go to grab this yarn, you kind of like pull over like this, which is fine. So some YouTube videos might actually like teach it that way, like, and then you turn your fingers down and then you grab that one there. Look, it's the same piece of yarn. Do you see that? It's like literally the same. Like you can pull it from here, or if it feels comfortable to like flip your hand down and pull it from there, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's gonna do the exact same thing. So you just pull that. But I think it's harder to do it that way when I'm really thinking about it. But anyway. So you just kind of do this little twisty move. So I'm kind of like just moving my hook from facing down to facing up. And when we do that maneuver, that's when we get our ring on our crochet hook. Just pull it out. Release it from our fingers. Both strings to tighten. And then long string attached to the skein to hug our hook. And that is how you do the slip stitch. All right. So I hope that was helpful. If you wanted to watch it again, just the slip stitch part, I noticed that I started actually doing the slip stitch and stopped talking about the slip. I stopped talking about the slip stitch and started doing the slip stitch at 5 minutes into this video about. So if you wanted to rewind to like that specific spot just to watch it a few more times. But yeah, this is what it looks like. And then after that, what you'll do is you'll chain. And I'm going to make a second video for that of how to chain. Okay, but this is what you need in order to start a chain. And even if you're like, oh, I don't ever want to do rows, I'm going to be doing rounds, Britt. So this is useless to me. It's really not, because this is really similar to what you need to get started here. It's called a magic ring or a magic circle. You can call whichever one you want. But for this one, and for like a lot of amigurumi, pretty much all amigurumi, which is like the plushies, like when you're making something 3D, it pretty much always is using rounds. And when you start with when you do a round, it's going to be called a magic ring or a magic circle to start with that. That being said, some people will actually slip stitch and do 2 chains and then just like start crocheting in from the first chain, and then that's how they make the ring. But this is much better. This is much, in my opinion, this is a way better way to do it. Magic ring, but I'll get back into that more in a lesson down the road. So where we do crocheting in the rounds here. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is the magic ring that you need for this is very similar to this. So if you can get this down, and this can be really easy for you, and you can do it super like quickly and, you know, whatever, then it's going to help you when you get to this step. It's going to make learning the magic ring so much easier. So, okay, that was helpful. When you do your slip stitch, take pictures of it and turn it in to the Google Classroom that I have this lesson on. And if you need any sort of feedback in your Patreon subscription, you are eligible for one critique each month. So definitely, if you wanted me to take a look at this and kind of tell you what's all going on with it, feel free to take advantage of that. You get one each month, one critique each month. I mean, I am, but that being said, if you have any questions, just ask them in the comments, and I'm gonna answer them. I'm not gonna like ignore you. But you do have one official critique each month, so don't forget about that. But that being said, if you have any sort of questions, ask them in the comments of the lesson, and I'll just reply to you. Okay, cool. So I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be how to chain. All right, bye, y'all. Happy crafting.